Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's live. Just dropped my pad and paper on the floor. Wonderful, good start. Yes, today we're going to be hosting the wonderful Chris Williamson. Chris and I have known each other for, well, quite a while. I haven't seen him for a long, long time. He has been, doing some incredible things, which I've been following along the way, particularly his podcast, The Modern Wisdom, which I think is honestly one of my favourite podcasts that I've ever listened to. He dives so deep into some people's amazing lives and just the things that he gets out of people is incredible. He's also recommended me plenty of books and plenty of wisdom, and I actually... I've taken a lot of advice from him, so I'm super happy to have him on today's live with me, and I'm very, very happy that he's taken some time out of his busy schedule to come and talk to me and talk to you guys as well. So yeah, I will bring him on in a minute. Hopefully everyone's enjoying some of the sunshine we're having this week in London. It's stunning, absolutely stunning. It's I was out there yesterday. I think I've got a bit of a burnt nose and cheeks, but I'll keep the sun cream on for now. But yes, today we're going to be covering just a few bits and see how he's been during lockdown, particularly what he's been up to, and how he's going to sort of take the next phase of life forward into the new world, I suppose is what we're going to start calling it, the next chapter of life. However we want to see this next section. So yeah, it should be really, really good. Fingers crossed he'll be with us very, very shortly. But if anyone has any questions for Chris while we're doing the live, then please do pop them in the comments below. If we're in mid-sentence, I will jot them down and ask him when we get a second. That would be good. Otherwise, I hope everyone enjoys this one today. I'm super excited. We've got half an hour with him, so fingers crossed we're able to cover everything that we want to in the time allotted. But yes, let's just wait for Chris to come on board. I'm sure he'll be with us very soon. I see loads of people joining in. Hello everyone from all over, wherever you are. Give us a shout out to tell us where you come from or where you're listening in from today. If you're in the park in the sunshine, I won't shout you out because I'm jealous. Yeah, I'll see you guys shortly.
Hello,
Chris.
brother. How are you,
You're in the sunshine. I've just said, if anyone's in the sunshine, give me a shout out because I'm going to be super, super jealous. You're living it.
That is
You're living
me.
life.
That is me, man. If you think I'm doing an IG live indoors when it's this sort of weather, you're very confused. Not happening.
Very good. I've got the good window coming in. I've got some light coming in, but unfortunately, I live in London. It's stupidly noisy, so I wouldn't be able to hear you, unfortunately. So I'm just going to spend this half an hour basking in the sunlight of this very warm room with you. But it's all
Cool,
good.
man.
How have you been? I haven't seen you for a long, long time. I was just saying to everyone, we've known each other for years, but I haven't actually seen you probably for about maybe 8, 9, maybe even 10 years.
Maybe more, man. Yeah, I think the last time that we were together, we were doing a job in a field, in a cold field in Leeds somewhere, an all-day modeling job for a festival. Do you remember that?
I think, very, very vaguely. And then I remember there was a few nights out with an ex-girlfriend of mine, Sophie. We used to come up to Newcastle, and we came and had a couple of nights at your party. Is it Voodoo events? You still got that running.
That's, well, not right now,
Good
but
times,
yeah.
man. Long time ago that was. But anyway, how's life during lockdown? What have you been doing with yourself? You've been keeping busy?
Indeed, yes, man. So I'm very fortunate that I have the podcast Modern Wisdom. I have properties that keep me busy, tenants and stuff that need things doing for it. I have a few other investments. I've been reading a lot. I've been doing a lot of personal development. I've been working a lot on me, building some habits that I can then reintegrate once lockdown's finished. So yeah, man, it's been good. I appreciate that for some people it's like sucked. It's like not a very nice time. It's not a very fun time. But for me, I've been basking in it, man. I've been reveling in it. How's that for
Absolutely.
you?
There you go. Absolutely. So for the people that maybe aren't having such a good time, have you found keeping yourself as positive as you were just now in amongst all this? You know, because it is quite hard to sort of think, fuck it, what's the point? So how do you keep yourself from just sort of doing that every day?
Yeah, so this conversation appears to be kind of the ongoing one at the moment, which is how do you motivate yourself when life is hard, basically, or when you have obstacles in front of you? And the bottom line is that what I've been relying on is the dichotomy of control. It's a Stoic concept. It identifies the barriers that are between what you can control and what you can't control. Focusing on things that you cannot control is a surefire path to misery. So you can't control when the government says that we're reopening. You can't control that you've lost your job. You can't control the weather. You can't control the way that your partner behaves. You can control your thoughts and your actions. That's it. That's all that you've got control over. In amongst that, you have things like effort. You have things like the way that you respond to given stimulus, given situations. But just focusing on doing the things that I can do, because really, there's only two choices you have when you're upset with something. You can either change it or accept it. Now, if you can't change it, there's only one option left. You have to accept it, and that's it. And by keeping that in your mind, by reminding yourself, look, life is a challenge at the moment. Life sucks. But just rolling over and allowing that to be the thing, like because you're going to look back, this is going to be one of the defining moments for everyone that's living through this, everybody's life. And when your grandkids in 50 years' time go, oh, granddad, like, what did you do during the great pandemic of 2020? And you're going to go, oh, well, what I really spent a lot of time doing was scrolling on Snapchat. I tried to start a TikTok channel, but it sucked because I found out that TikTok's like just a complete like black hole for time. And yeah, I got through a lot of Netflix. And you're like, bro, come on. Like, do you not want more from your life? And this is where kind of the tough love comes in. It's like, if that's where you're at, and if you think, okay, this is hard, I'm just going to do my thing, then being honest, you deserve the legacy of looking back on a time that you wasted. You know, that's not for me to say that I don't feel sympathy or empathy for people. Some of the fans of the podcast, like one girl's going through a breakup with a partner that she is self-isolating in different houses in different countries from. Like, that's unbelievably hard. How are you supposed to navigate that? Someone else, their grandma has cancer, but they're also terrified of going to go and see them because they're a risk for passing on COVID-19. So you're like, fuck, man, like that really, really sucks. But that's outlier situations. You do not, 90% of the people that are going to watch this video do not have that problem. The problem they have is that they can't get out of bed in the morning because it's too cold or they're too tired or something like that. Like, that's not a good reason. That is not a good excuse. And another thing to consider as well, I'll finish on this for this section, is that the present you, so the you which is experiencing whatever you're experiencing right now, the me which is experiencing this lovely sunshine, or the people that are watching, they're experiencing this beautiful conversation and your wonderful mustache. Like, the present you is always going to take the path of least resistance, because the only person that feels discomfort, the only version of you that feels discomfort is the you right now. But the you, the remembering self, the person that is going to reflect on whatever you do in this situation is for the rest of time. So you got to think the present you is this tiny, tiny little sliver of a timeline that's moving along like that. And then the rest of time, it's all the way down there, right over there near the trees, right over there. That's what the rest of time is. So the day-to-day enacting of anything is a grind. Everything sucks. Everything sucks, you know? Like, here's one for you. So think about, everyone that's listening, think about the last holiday that you had, and think about like a beautiful sunset. So you're on the beach, you're watching the sun go down. So my last one was in Gili T in Bali. Phenomenal, right? Beautiful. Looking back, amazing memory, super romantic, just great. But at the time, I was actually thinking, oh, there's a little bit of sand between my toes, and I hope that guy over there with the horse doesn't come and walk by us, and this, that, and the other. So my point is that what you do at the time reflects for much longer than your experience of it during that moment, and it's for the whole rest of your life. And that changes the perspective. You actually see the actions that you take in the moment as being an investment in a beautiful reflecting opportunity for your future self. And when you do that, you actually start to think, well, hang on a second, this isn't about me right now. This is about what I want to look back on this moment and have thought. And this is the question. I'll finish on this one. I promise I'll finish on this. The question to ask, right? Anybody that's struggling with quarantine, with motivation, with stuff like that, what would have had to have happened by the end of lockdown for you to look back on lockdown and say that it was a success?
Yeah.
Like, genuinely, what would have had to have happened by your own definition? What would have had to have happened by the end of lockdown to look back on lockdown and say it was a success? And if you can't answer that question, that is your first port of call. No wonder you're feeling demotivated. You have no idea what you're doing. You're waking up on a morning and you literally have no idea why you're here, especially if you're on furlough, 80% of your wage. You're just like, oh, this is brilliant. But after like 3 or 4 weeks of just living in your pajamas and constantly eating cereal, you're like, yeah, probably should start to do something else. But what is it? Oh, I'll read a book. So you buy a Kindle and download some books that you never read, or I'll start a gym routine. So you go for one run, buy a pair of running shoes, go for one run and never do it again. It's like, no, what would have had to have happened for you to look back and say it was a success? Choose that thing. Then what do you do each day to make it happen?
Yeah, it's absolutely right. What you just said, it's understanding where the road that you're going is ending up. It's the A to B simple philosophy of where, if you know where you're going, then everything along the way is simple to figure out. One thing you were talking about, how, doing things that will remind you now of in 20, 30, 50 years time that you look back and be proud of. It comes down to like the compound effect, right? The compound effect of doing something today that will have a bigger impact later on in life. So for example, appreciating the little things now will become the big things later, or for example, picking up a book and just reading a page a day. You will finish that book within a certain amount of days, and it will do more to you than not finishing that, starting that book. Or not reading anything per day, because you won't actually get anything done. It comes down to the mindset, and this is what I talk to everyone about, that I love, that vibes on this sort of thing. And this is why I really wanted to talk to you, is that you have two types of mindset in life. You've got a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. And the people you were just talking about now, the ones that get up and sort of maybe have a bit of a lazy morning and stay in the same clothes all day and eat the same food and wondering why they're not moving anywhere, are unfortunately those people that have a fixed mindset. They're the ones that don't think that they can actually do anything for themselves. They think that things have to change externally for them to be able to then move forward. But it's wrong. It's total bullshit. You have to actually take the initiative of yourself and go forward with what you want in life, because no one's going to do it for you. That's the thing. You may get help along the way, but you have to show the initiative in the first place to go, this is what I want, and this is how I'm going to do it, and this is where I'm going to go to get it. And along the way, you might pick up stragglers that be like, yeah, I like that, I'm going to come with you, or I can help you get there, or I can give you a leg up. That's when you start moving, and that's when you start getting momentum. But the only way you can get that is by having a growth mindset, and that's by understanding, as you said, picking up a book and reading it for a specific reason, to grow your mind in that particular way, or to, start a training regime to lose weight, or to fit in a pair of jeans, or to get better at doing press-ups. But there's an end goal, and there's a way that, there's a place you're looking to get to. And so therefore the process becomes a purposeful process. It's not just doing it for the sake of doing it. And as you said, people on TikTok, I don't get TikTok. That's fine. People could. I think it's funny to watch every now and again. I don't personally get it. Maybe I'll regret that in 6 weeks' time when it becomes the biggest thing ever. But the thing is with TikTok is that if you have a purpose of being on it and you're looking to grow an audience and you're looking to give value to the people that watch your TikTok videos, go for gold. Do your worst. Make the funniest videos you possibly can, because people will value them. But to be on it for the sake of everyone else being on it and sort of feeling like you're missing out, it's the wrong reasons. It's the wrong way to look at things. It's fascinating how you get people that sort of like whinge about, I've been in lockdown for a month and I've done nothing with it. Well, whose fault's that? It's like, who else have you got to blame? I mean, I've decided to try and grow an epic mustache in lockdown, and I'm getting there.
My friend, you have achieved that goal. You have surpassed that goal. That is, so I don't know whether you can see. We'll just have a little. I'm trying. I'm slowly considering growing this in, and the main reason is because, like, there's never been a time to do something which is unattractive to the gender that you're trying to attract usually, but that you don't care about. Like, there's never been a better time to not give a fuck about what girls think of you. Because right now, and like a mustache is like the number one. There isn't a single girl on the planet that thinks a mustache is cool, but there isn't a single guy on the planet that doesn't think it's cool. So it's like, look, might as well grow a mustache. I said this before as well. Girls that are listening, sorry, but you must have so much pubic hair. Like, why would you be trimming your pubic hair right now? No one's, everybody, like, what's that? Veet? Veet are nearly going out of business. No one's talking about the stock price of Veet going through the floor. Honestly, man, like, no one's getting any, right? Mustaches and pube mustaches. That's going to be the ongoing trend of, after COVID. But man, you've hit the nail on the head there, right? The challenge that people come up against, it's all well and good, me and you going, oh, well, you should just read some Carol Dweck, get yourself growth mindset, mate. But the problem is that the hardest bit of anything is the getting over your own inertia at the start, right? So like, I don't have massive self-esteem. I don't feel like I can do this thing. And what you need to bring this back to is, yeah, sorry, there's just loads of girls feeling uncomfortable in the comments now. What this comes back to is you need to, and this is something I'm kind of working on. I haven't quite finished it yet, but I'll get there, right? You need to be able to have faith in your own ability to keep promises to yourself. And that's the main thing, which I think people are missing. Like, if you believed that you were going to be able to do the things that you say you're going to do, there would be no barrier between saying it and doing it. Everything you said you would complete. However, if you're the sort of person who continually makes New Year's resolutions, I'm going to go sober, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to start a gym regime, I'm going to stop smoking, I'm going to stop eating fast food, you know, or whatever it might, I'm going to stop cheating on my partner, I'm going to turn a corner with the words that I tell myself, my own inner voice, blah, 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 all these things. And consistently, you disprove your own ability to keep that word to yourself. It's like being friends with a friend who you say, oh, so we're going to be there at 10:30. Yeah, I'll be there at 10:30. And they're not there. And then you go, oh, sorry, mate, I missed that. Like, and then you rearrange for next week and they don't show up again, or they turn up 20 minutes late or whatever. Like, you need to treat yourself like you are somebody you are responsible for helping, Jordan Petersonism. And like, you wouldn't trust that friend. You wouldn't trust the friend that continues to just be like, not showing up, being late, being tardy, not caring about you. So why should you think that just because you made a decision that you're now going to trust yourself? And this is where the domain of competence comes in. So Warren Buffett calls compounding interest the eighth wonder of the world. And this is true for everything. It's true for the gym, progressive overload. It's true for behavior change. Start with your minimum effective, minimum viable change, which is a James Clearism. Do something that gives you faith in your own ability to keep your word to yourself. Like, you gave a good example, read a page a day. Like, there is no one that can't read a page a day. There are people that think reading a page a day is a stupid thing to do and it's a waste of my time. But okay, like, what is reading 25 pages a day? Reading 25 pages a day is reading one page a day 25 times within a day. Like, that's what it is. That is precisely how things work. Any huge accomplishment is a series of large goals made up by smaller goals, made up by micro goals, made up by individual actions. That is what anything is. Given enough time, I could walk to Mars, and all it would be one step after one step after one step. That's all it is. So if there's someone that's listening that's saying, I'm maybe struggling with self-esteem, I can't get over my own inertia, I've never kept a promise to myself recently in terms of behavior change. Okay, what is a goal that is so small that you almost couldn't fail at it? Could you read a page a day? Could you walk? Could you do one press up a day? Like a single press up? Yes. Okay, do that. Do that for a week, then do 2 press ups a day. I know it sounds so stupid, but the point is that most plans fail not due to how clever they are or how sophisticated they are, but due to a lack of compliance. Like, this is the same thing. Everybody says, I put up a story of me having alpha brains on it, which is on its alpha brain, which is a nootropic. And immediately tons of messages, bro, is this any good? Like, I need some help with my focus and my attention and my work. I'm like, it gives you maybe plus 5%. You know, it would give you plus 40%. Having your phone outside of your room, like, or turning notifications off on your laptop, or not getting 6 hours of sleep a night. But no, I know that you're saying that, but like, really, tell me about the alpha brain. It's like, bro, it is not anything at all to do with the fancy shit on the top. That is the icing on the top of the cake. The beautiful jam and cream filling, the buttery sponge filling, which is what we're all there for, right? That is compliance. That is doing the things that everybody does. So that's behavior change for you.
It takes on. Have you read the book Tiny Habits by B.J. Fogg?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that book for me changed the world, because it was a book that essentially allowed people to break down those very big goals and small goals into even smaller goals, into things that you were just saying that it almost is impossible not to do, right? And essentially, when you do something enough, it becomes a habit, right? And a habit is something that we actually have habits almost every minute of every day. You know, we get up, we brush our teeth, we go to the toilet, we make food. You know, we listen to things and triggers in our bodies and everything else that make things autonomous, right? So what's to say that we can't break bad habits, i.e. smoking, drinking, cheating on our wives, whatever it might be, versus also building good habits like reading a page a day, doing 2 press-ups a day, fucking being grateful for your actual being alive and the things that you've got around you. Do you know what I mean? So that book, and if anyone hasn't read it, the very simple sort of logistics of it are basically that when you have something, you do something so simple every single day, but you attach it to something that you're already doing autonomously. So if you get up in the morning and put the kettle on without even thinking about it, when you put the kettle on, start doing something that you want to then become a habit, i.e. a press up. So when you put the kettle on in the morning, do a press up. But the thing that's going to instill it in your brain, which is all to do with the psychology of it, is to celebrate it every single time. So if you do a press up after putting the kettle on in the morning, get up, fucking cheer, like punch the sky, cheer, you know, high five yourself, do something that basically gives your brain the message that that was a good thing you've just done, right? And therefore, after 5, 6, 8, 9, 10 days, it will become a habit, and you almost feel weird about not putting the kettle on and doing a press up. And it's just simple stuff. But the thing is, people get bored and people get distracted and people think, oh, there's no point, and people think, what am I doing this for? But then if you did it for a year, I guarantee you wouldn't look back in a year's time and go like, oh fuck, I really hated doing all those press ups every day because I've now got 50 biceps and a really rock hard chest.
Remember what we said at the start about the remembering self, right?
Yeah.
Like your remembering self will thank you for doing the little things there now. And yeah, man, here is the red pill of all red pills about behavior change, right? And I have a sobriety program, 6 months sober, and this is true for my course as it is for Atomic Habits, as it is for Deep Work by Cal Newport, as it is for anything, any behavior change. Let me give you the secret that doctors really don't want you to know. The secret that doctors really don't want you to know is that all behavior change is 1 or 2 key insights layered with sufficient novelty to stop you from getting bored. That is what behavior change is. My course, 6 months sober, it's taken me years to develop. But if you went sober for 6 months, you would gain 70% of the progress that you get. What the course gives you is sufficient novelty to not get bored with that single insight into behavior change. Same with Cal Newport, same with Essentialism. Greg McKeown, had him on the podcast. That episode goes out this week. Essentialism by Greg McKeown. Focus on the vital few, not the trivial many. But that needs to be embellished. You need to understand the context. You need to have, oh, well, I'll do it in this way, and I'll do it in this way, and I'll do it in this way. Because otherwise you get shiny object syndrome and you get distracted by the next thing. But that is the key to behavior change. And what this does, by being realistic, honestly realistic about behavior change, and this is why fucking Grant Cardone and Gary Vaynerchuk and all of these like hyper hustle, like the hustle porn entrepreneurs from America, this is what I don't like, because talking about like the one secret that's going to get you X, Y, Z, the same for PT clients, it's like the one, it's like, no, there is the secret is there is no secret. The secret is there is 1 or 2 key insights that you repeat over years effectively. And after a very, very long time, you look back and you can't recognize the person that you see in the mirror, or you can't recognize the landscape that you inhabit inside of your mind.
It's discipline. It's pure discipline. That's all it is, you know. And I think the discipline, I think a lot of people think discipline is something that you do for a couple of months and then you're like, oh yeah, I was disciplined at, you know, not having a drink on a Monday night, but actually now I'm having a drink every night of the week. No, discipline is something that becomes a part of your life. It is like as integral as sleeping and eating. It's like it becomes something that you can't live without. And if you want to be serious about changing something in your life, you have to be disciplined with yourself, because otherwise, what's the point? it's all well and good being someone who's like, oh yeah, I'm going to maybe go sober for 6 months, but then on the 6 months and one day you have a drink. What was the point? Yes, you might have learned something about yourself, and yes, you might have been able to, put yourself through, the challenge of doing it. But ultimately, you're back to square one before you started that 6 month program. And if you really wanted to change, then the whole process was pointless. So if you do something like the 6 month program that you've got, which I think is wonderful, I think that people should actually do it and make it a lifestyle change, which I'm sure is the reason why you started it, is to give people the option of being able to see that being sober is actually giving you much more in life than being pissed up on a weekend and every other night of the week for however long of your life. Because you look back at that in 50 years time, you're a granddad, and you ask about your 20s and your 30s. Not many people can remember their 20s and 30s. I mean, I'm struggling. I've gone through
me and you have had a number of nights out that have caused our memories to degrade quite a lot, especially in Leeds and in other places. So
it's like
we're our own worst enemies here.
But the thing is, you then look back on that and you've learned your lesson from the actions you've taken, right? Mm. And the funny thing is about this whole thing is that you have to do it almost, and you have to experience it to be able to then have the badge of honor to say, no, I've been through that and I know what it's like.
It's a rite of passage, man. Like, especially with drinking, it is a rite of passage. Now, there's a much more societal question about whether or not we should be having a society in which consuming a substance like alcohol is indoctrinated at an age that's in your teens. Like, that's a different sort of question. But there's this quote from Naval, which fuck me, man. Like, that guy just rides the crest of now, deploying wisdom that takes sages decades to come up with. And he said, it is far easier to achieve your material desires than it is to renounce them. And what that means is it's significantly simpler for me to say going sober is a good productivity hack. It will give you more time, money, and calories to spend on things you truly care about. When I've been pissed 300 times or 500 times, it is significantly easier for me to say, you shouldn't be concerned about material wealth because material wealth does not bring you happiness. When I own 4 houses and I'm comfortable in terms of my material possessions, it is far easier to achieve your material desires than it is to renounce them. And that also stops you from giving up out of the game and going, oh, I'm just not going to bother trying to change myself as a person. I'm not going to bother trying to achieve any material wealth and give myself some sort of financial stability. I'm not going to ever get into single digit body fat just once in my life so that I can say I can do it. It's much easier for you to say, do you know what it is? I'm actually going to pursue Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because I want to do something which I really enjoy. It makes me feel like I have some creativity in my physical output. It doesn't externalize or socialize the way that I look as being the value of how competent I am at the performance. But it's much easier to do that if you've ticked the box of getting a couple of photos with you, abs lean, on a beach somewhere with your buddies and a beer in your hand. Like, it's just easier. So go after the things that you want and renounce them as well. Go after them and achieve them and then say, don't care. Like, that's the way to do it. And I worry about this, like, ascetic tradition, which I'm a part of now. Like, oh, go sober, mate. And oh, don't be bothered about material desires, mate. And oh, don't do this and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's all well and good to do it from the perspective of someone who has achieved those things. Because it's easy to say, I don't need a Ferrari when your last car was a Ferrari.
Yeah. It becomes almost, the value of it is decreased automatically because you know what it's like to have one. It's more of a desire versus a want. And so, it's like when people go through life and they want something, almost more often than not, they get it and they're like, oh, it's not really what I wanted. And then it comes down to things like your aspirational values versus your core values. Aspirational values are, I want to be rich, famous, and fucking, this guy, this person in the world. But actually, when you get there, you're not happy because your core isn't exactly what is aligned with what you actually wanted in your head. So it's all about discovery. And the thing is, there's no quick fix. We live in a society of instant gratification, quick fix, trying to beat the fucking system, cut corners and all that bollocks. It's not possible. Yes, there's some ways of maybe doing it if you're lucky, but if you really want it to stay still and like build foundations that last for a lifetime, you've got to put the graft in. You've got to put the experiences to the test. You've got to actually go out there, achieve things, analyze things, do things that make you push your boundaries and stretch your comfort zone out to as far as it will go so that you know full well that you can attack and approach any situation in life with the understanding that you're either going to love it, hate it, enjoy it, not enjoy it, learn from it, all those things. And I just find it, I find it fascinating that people get to a certain stage in their life and don't realize that that's what they needed to have done to get to a point where they feel like they're a success or they feel like they've fulfilled something in their life. Crazy.
But it's not natural, I don't think. Like, I doubt I would have arrived at as many of the insights that I've got had it not been for the things that I've listened to or watched or read, or the people that I've got to spend time with through my show, Modern Wisdom. There's no handbook that comes with life. You don't get an instruction manual, sadly. And it's so messy and chaotic, and we're pulled in so many different directions by our biases and the way that we deal with trauma and our genetic heritage and, everything, the societal norms. It is a very, very challenging world to be an effective human in. It really is. And the reason that I keep on banging on about behavior change and trying to, 3 episodes a week on the show at the moment on Modern Wisdom, like finding people that hopefully will speak. 1 in 200 guests might be the person that speaks to someone and the penny drops and they're like, fuck, that's it, man. That's it. It took episode 213 for me to listen and then actually go, yeah, I get it. But I'm confident, man. I think that this world of behavior change, of people deprogramming societal norms, what's expected of them, their past behaviors, their past habits, all this sort of stuff. I think just looking at the trajectory, man, I think so many people are in for a much better future than they were in the past. And I think about the way that my mum and dad operate, or the access that they had to information about how to behave in the world. Like, I'm teaching my dad to do business. I'm teaching my mum to do meditation. Like, that's not usually the role that child takes on with parent. That wouldn't have been 100 years ago, 200 years ago. The older you were, the more wisdom you had. But now it's actually the young people that are able to quickly consume information and then synthesize it with everything else that's going on and then give it back out again. They're the people that have the competitive advantage. And that means that if you are one of those people, if you are someone that does have an insight, does have some wisdom, it is your duty to try and raise the people up that are around you. And it doesn't mean that you got to go start a fucking podcast, but it does mean that when you see your friend talking in a way which doesn't serve them or doesn't help to bring other people up, that you step in and you break down that programming and you guide them. You say, hey man, like, why do you say that? Like, why is it that you talk like that? Or, hey darling, like, do you really think that's making your life better to have that belief? Like, what's that come from? Like, and the more that you do that, you will raise up the consciousness of everyone that's around you. And if you roll the clock forward and you were to do that for a whole society, everybody maximizing their output, everybody trying to be the most mindful, the least biased, like, you've got a world that I would fucking love to live in. And that's not to say I don't love to live in it now, but it would be so good,
Yeah.
Everybody doing their thing.
Just be a leader. Just be a leader, and don't worry what anyone else thinks of you. The opinions of others are only going to, you need to brush them off, essentially. And the thing is that when you, as you said yourself, see other people doing it in a way that is detrimental to people's mental health, physical health, and also just being completely out of order, you need to just recognize that that's just, they're people that are drowning, and you can try and bring them up and you can send them a lifeline, but ultimately if they're not going to help themselves, then there's no hope for them, I'm afraid. So it's about building around the network of people around you that are only going to help you and build you and, get you through things that are ultimately going to make you a bigger, better and stronger human. Chris,
I couldn't agree more.
It's been a pleasure chatting to you. Thank you so much. I know I'm conscious of time, but I appreciate your spending the afternoon with me and the other 25, 30 other people that have tuned in for today's show. Mate, if people want to find you, where can they get a hold of you mostly?
Right there, Modern Wisdom. Wherever you tune in, just go and if you listen on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts or whatever it is, just search for that. I put out 3 episodes a week with the most interesting humans on the planet, delivered directly into your ears like some sort of god from Newcastle. It's not me, it's just them. I'm just a platform for interesting people. But yeah, that's it. Or follow me at ChrisWillX wherever you go, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is. But yeah, man, I like what you're doing, bro. I think that you're adding a lot of value. It's good to see more people from the UK singing this song. I really do hope that this platform continues to grow. And yeah, like I say, anyone that's interested, Modern Wisdom, go and subscribe. I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that, mate. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Enjoy the sunshine. Peace out. I'll speak to you soon.
See you in a bit, brother.
Cheers, mate. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to that with me and Chris. It was nuggets of knowledge all over the shop. I'm super happy with that. I put it on my IGTV so you guys can watch it back if you missed any of it. But yes, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be here again tomorrow with a good friend of mine, Callum. We're going to be talking all about some stuff with him, his acting career, and some other wonderful knowledge coming from that side of the world. So yeah, tune in tomorrow. I'll see you then. Otherwise, enjoy the sunshine. Lots of love. Bye.